Let me say categorically that this issue is still an allegation by the person who claimed to...
No, we're not talking about, sorry to interrupt
Yes.
you. It has gone beyond being an allegation.
Yes.
Because the government, the presidency has admitted that such a thing had been happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Yakubu, thank you for joining us. From your perch as the executive director of the Center for Fiscal Transparency and Public Integrity, you deal with a lot of issues around the stink of corruption. How much does this unfolding story of a fictitious office operating under the name of the Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council raise a red alert for you?
Well, thank you for inviting me, Charles. And I liked your intro because for the first time since this scandal came about, people have been focusing on the person, that's the prince or whatever, but they are not looking at the accountability system and mechanism, what we have been saying that it has been too weak. And in your intro, you mentioned all the problems. Now we have several councils, National Examination Council, National Shippers Council, all the councils. You find out that they have enabling legal frameworks backing them. Now, nobody has been able to tell you the legal framework backing this particular council. And the funny name is Presidential Intervention something. Even the name is very funny and problematic if you look at the name. Intervention in what exactly? But now let's assume that it even exists in law.
Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council.
Promotion of what exactly?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're right, but continue, please.
Yes, sir.
So sounds bizarre, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. So now let's assume that we'll listen to their argument. They maybe manufacture one legal framework now, and what they will tell you is an executive order and start burying it under some, nuances there, here and there. But let's assume it even exists now. Now, you are talking about promotion of investments. You have the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. You have the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. You have the NEPZA, Nigerian Export Promotion Zone. You have the Nexim Bank. You already have enough agencies that are dealing with promotion of international trade, international investments, and all of that. Now, what mechanism did they need? What mechanism or what tool or what led them to think about how they will establish this kind of council now? I've not seen any data to support, okay, well, we need a Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council, or whatever name it believes. Because these agencies are already doing all their work. But UNI came and now established a council to, let's say, promote. I'm assuming it's for promotion of foreign investment. I'm just assuming. Now, assuming that's the reason for foreign investment, these people do not understand that capital chases investment, not the other way around. That's why you can see presidents running around, governors running around all the time, but where are the investments coming? Well, all over the world, you will see a lot of capital looking for where investments would lie. But these are not happening because we have not, fixed our system for the investors to come. So now, to the second layer about accountability mechanisms. Assuming whether it was established or not, how do you establish an agency, get funding, 1.2 billion or so, whatever the amount is, it even has a budget of 20-something billion, open an account with the central bank, meaning payments...
Several accounts.
Meaning payments have come from the Accountant General of the office, meaning the Auditor General of the Federation has access. All these accountability mechanisms...
Budgets approved at the National Assembly.
Yes. Yeah. Then for the presidency to now come and expose its lapses, it now came and issued a statement that was just bringing out all these lapses, meaning they do not check all these things. So these are the problems of what we're talking about, and these things need to be fixed. Because right now, just one more point, assuming they jail this person, what happens to the other ones that we're not aware of? There are so many of them. And what happens to all the spending that nobody is just checking? Lastly, again, the National Assembly just needs to live up to its responsibilities.
Okay, thank you for that. Let me come to you, Mazin Namdi Dixon Irebu. If the presidency says this office did not legally exist, how could an organization function within government to the extent that it appeared to interact with ministries and public institutions? What does that say about the strength or weakness of governance systems? And let's be, fairly reserved with our language, because I know you're chomping at the bit, being an opposition member. Let's just assess this reasonably, and
it's an unreasonable situation. So it just tells that it seems like Nigeria is running an Oluwale system of government.
What does that mean?
It's a Yahoo system of government, because if not, the chief of staff to the president has been linked to this. And over how many days, weeks, and all of that, because this didn't just start now. As far back as October, this case had been in the public domain. And the chief of staff was said to have written to exonerate himself and all of that story and all that. And he's still sitting in there up till now. So first, the position of my party, the NDC, is that by now, the chief of staff to the president ought to have been sacked, and sacked immediately, so that at least by every means possible, investigation will be carried out without any semblance of bias. So it's just unfortunate that we have gotten ourselves here, Charles. I made a movie that gave me the first armor in 2005 titled The Mayors. It was about scenarios like this where people feigned or claimed to be government officials, and from such office, extort foreigners and all of that in the name of having access to the powers that be. The movie is just about playing out again. It's just like in the movies. It's sad. And I expected the president by now to have taken a firm position to, at least if you say you're fighting corruption, and this one is closer home, your chief of staff is directly linked to this. This person has office in the Federal Secretariat and has been functioning for a while now. And somebody is trying to say, oh, it's a fake agency. How is that? If it's a fake agency, are we running a fake government? These are issues that, we now need to interrogate seriously, because honestly, this does not speak well for our country. It just exposes how the APC government led by Tinubu is all about how that they can milk the system and not, promote the common interest that they ought to be promoting sincerely.
Right. Okay.
So it's unfortunate that we found ourselves here.
Yeah. Let me turn to you, Dr. Raimi, because you are a member of the APC, although you're not in the government. So, I don't know what sort of defense you can put forth, but is this simply an alleged case of fraud by an individual in your assessment based on what you know, or does it expose something much deeper about institutional controls inside the APC Tinubu government?
Okay, thank you, Charles, for having me. And let me say categorically that this issue is still an allegation by the person who claimed to...
No, we're not talking about... Sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
It has gone beyond being an allegation.
Yes.
Because the government, the presidency has admitted that such a thing had been happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
The issue of allegation is whether, to what extent the chief of staff is involved or connected to it or not. But the fact is that a fake organization existed and was basically had a budget appropriated to it,
1.3 billion
passed by the National Assembly, recruited staff and all the rest of it. That's the issue.
Yes,
so it's gone beyond that point of allegation.
There are various issues to this matter, and you allow me to make this case.
But I wanted to just check the point you were trying to make initially. Because that's people would see that as a way to try and slip out.
No, we're not slipping out at all. Charles, I can assure you, there's no slipping out. We are going to lay the point, not the emotion. When this matter came up in October last year, you will recall that this matter, Nigeria have institutions that I still believe they are working. They are working. We should not demonize our institution of government, particularly under this current president, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Why did I say so? In October, when this matter came up, the Federal Ministry of Finance, the Federal Ministry, the Foreign Affairs Ministry, discovered that there is an agency like that, and then alerted, the chief of staff, you know, because he was the person. That's why I said it was an allegation at that point. He was alleging that he got an appointment for this particular position. So the chief of staff took the right decision, immediately requested, and first of all, he said he had nothing to do with it. He immediately asked the Office of the National Security Advisor and the DSS to investigate the man and whoever is connected. At that particular point, the system was working. Even beyond that, the police also came into the matter, and they went and investigated and found out that the so-called organization is fake. The fact that you see the man hobnobbing with government functionaries are not sufficient to thinking that maybe our system had failed.
No,
Let me tell you, Charles.
I don't mean to interrupt you again.
Yes.
It is sufficient.
Yes.
And if it does not raise red flags for you, then I worry about the state of this country. And I'm not saying that to you in particular.
Yes.
I am raising specific concern. How can a fake organization be able to get offices in the Federal Secretariat, have its budget approved in the National Assembly, open bank accounts in the central bank? How is that possible?
Charles, the nature of sophisticated crime and criminality across the world can be so tight that certain times you want to wonder how certain things happen. Let me give you a quick example.
Yeah, but it raises two questions.
I know.
It raises a question about
America,
how this could have happened in your government.
No, in America where we have...
No, we're not talking about America. We're talking about Nigeria.
Let me give you an example. On October, all of us were alive when the incident of 9/11 happened. The 9/11, why don't you say, oh, why did this happen in America?
No, let me tell you. Those are two totally different things.
You see,
look, I'm afraid I can't, this is preposterous. You don't really have a response. Let me come to you.
I do.
Professor, Dr. Yakubu. Yes, what worries you more? Listening to Dr. Taofiq there, the allegations themselves, or the possibility that no one inside the system appears to have detected the warning signs that appear to have been so glaring?
Yes, sir. Thank you. What worries me the most is the weakness of the accountability mechanisms, that you can have a fake agency situated right in the Federal Secretariat. I definitely want to believe he even moves with policemen, meaning he's provided security by the state. He draws funds from the state. Now that 1.2 billion could have been 12 billion, could have been 20 billion. Now the amount doesn't matter because the mechanism is so porous. Now, if you reported last year that there is a fake agency, where is he now? What has happened to him? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
To be fair, he's been charged to court, but he's out on bail.
Yes.
If Mr. Charles, you open a government office tomorrow in the middle of Abuja, by next week you'll be in jail, I'm telling you.
Well, you ought to be in jail.
You ought to be in jail. But the reason why we could assume, even if we don't have the evidence right way, why it's taking time is there's likely political interference or some political interest. That is why it is not happening. And we need to really look at these things because, like I said, 1.2 billion could have been 12 billion, could have been 20 billion. And now when you have about 7-8 federal agencies all not being able to detect a fake agency to raise the red flag. On the other side, you have the National Assembly sending letters back and forth to that same agency, and somebody is coming to tell us it is fake. Please, I think we need to...
And these are people who have oversight functions.
Exactly.
What is the point of oversight if you can't detect something that is, clearly raising a red flag? Let me come to you, Mazi Dixon. The matter, as we said, is now before the court, so the criminal issues will be determined legally. But the existence of a court case does not prevent the presidency from ordering wider administrative investigations into how this happened.
I agree. And that's why I said, first, the Office of the National, the Chief of Staff to the President has been linked to this. First, in fact, the story out there is that this fellow purchased this appointment. I think they said it was linked about 600 million and 400 million was paid, balance 200 million. The guy who linked
those
him
are the allegations.
The allegations. The guy who linked him to this.
I mean,
this.
I don't want to get into all kinds of allegations.
At least let's even bring it to the fore.
I understand what you mean, but those are allegations at this point.
Yes.
The key thing is what Dr. Yakubu is raising, which is the institutional failure.
The failure
to detect these.
The 10th Assembly, ab initio, compromised itself, became more like a branch of the executive arm. And that is why the oversight function thing is nowhere to be found. The 10th Assembly has failed woefully in that direction. We even have letters from the Senate to this fellow, to this agency, from the Green Chamber to this fellow, and all of that. So if the National Assembly, like you rightly stated, that ought to do the oversight function, was caught napping, sleeping, on duty. Well, that's where we have found ourselves. And my brother here, the APC, my colleague here, it's unfortunate.
Dr. Raimi.
Yes, it's unfortunate that we don't even know where to draw the line. Moments like this, what we should put forward is Nigeria. The image of our nation is what is important here, not your political party.
I agree.
So I expected that he will even, first of all, frown seriously at this and to imagine that it is under their watch that this is happening. You are looking for excuses linking us to America and looking for 9/11 narrative and all of that. This is terrible. And the government, the president ought to, by now, sack the chief of staff who has been linked. This is not the first one. He has been linked to various.
He can be suspended while an investigation.
Sack is the issue. Sack
you
is.
can't say sack someone.
This is not the first time that the chief of staff has been linked to issues like this.
Anyway, let me.
This is a very terrible thing that is happening.
Because the question is whether there should be responsibility, if any exists, should stop with individuals accused, or should there also be scrutiny of the entire public sort of official system, and looking into who may have approved documents or failed to detect irregularities? I mean, where do you stand definitively on that?
Where I stand is that, first of all, this matter came up last year. It was blown open, and the various relevant agencies have continued to do what they need to do. There is still and that is why the presidency did not even come out about the matter until a few days back, after maybe some internal investigation had been conducted. This president or myself or our party will never support anything that has to do with corruption. But in terms of fighting corruption, you also have to be methodical about it. You do not crucify people except the court had declared them to have committed that offense. In terms of how crime can linger or can permeate, look at FBI even in America. You will notice that sometimes they try to dictate problems. Even 5-10 years crime can take that long. This government has no patience for crime or criminality. That's why in the past you will notice that he has suspended ministers. He has relieved some people from their position. So nobody is coming to anywhere. But you see, people can want to make social media headline. Ultimately, you can win a case under two platforms, either on social media or you win a case in the court. This matter is already before the court, and I believe in the end, we are going to see who and who are complicit. I want to assure you that this administration will not bury anybody. But there are oppositions who want to always antagonize the administration, who want to pull down the functionaries because they actually want to come back.
What you're saying sounds spectacularly
perverse. Yes.
It really does.
No, it could
anyway,
be.
Look, let's watch and see what happens. We've got to move on because time is against us. Let's turn